There is a lot of hope this week, anger this week, fear, anticipation, accusations of foul play. There is protesting and, of course, counting in this week's Torah portion. Isaac's fear, Hagar's despondence, accusations of foul play leveled at Ishmael, Abraham's protesting, and God's counting. I want to focus now on our neighbor to the south of Israel at this time in our Torah portion. What was the sin that warranted the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah? Was it sexual impropriety, unkindness to guests? Maybe. These are reasons given in our Midrash, in our rabbinic tradition. But what does the rest of the Tanakh say? Now this, says Ezekiel, was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, unconcerned. They did not help the poor nor the needy. In Pirkei Avot, our rabbis teach there are 4 character types for people. The character type of Sodom is those who say, what is mine, and what is yours is yours. You might ask, why is that the character type of Sodom? It makes sense. What is mine, and what is yours is yours. But of course, we know that for our world to survive, for our society to survive, we can't only keep what is ours with us, but also seek to build society through the righteousness of generosity, of giving, of taxes which support a system which cares for the most vulnerable. What kind of mindset is it that could lead us to be like Sodom? According to the early Reform rabbi, one of the first generations of Reform rabbis in North America, Liebman Adler, there are 10 proofs recounted of Abraham's goodness and piety. And one of them is that he did not complain when famine compelled him to leave the promised land, which at the bidding of God he had just entered. But to his even greater merit, he remained unchanged when he became wealthy and stayed true to himself and to his God. How do we know this? Poverty, teaches Rabbi Adler, has its trials. But more importantly for him, wealth has its trials too. It has 2 types of trials, he teaches. The first is in how you acquire it. If you are sameach bechalko, if you are happy with what you have, or always seeking to enrich yourself at the expense of others. And the second is in its application, its youth. All honor be to the rich man whose hand is more powerful than his wealth, who plies it to truly good and noble uses. Abraham, he teaches, stood both of these tests. We cannot expect everyone to be strong like Abraham, and therefore let the wealthy be cautious and considerate in their judgment of the poor. Be not angry or indignant at what you find. Perhaps you would be similarly oppressed in mind and body if you would be in the same situation. It is how we, with privilege and resources, take care of the most vulnerable, medically, financially, mentally, that defines our society. As our budget just came out for our province, we get to see if the wealth of our province, of our nation, is used in this way to help those in long-term care as promised or not. As the counting to the south of the border continues, if there are only 49 righteous senators and not 50, then will God spare the... Just kidding. As the counting continues and we wait with patience, we also look at ourselves and think how we, in our own isolation, can still reach out and be kind and advocate as members of our community have been. Through giving tzedakah, food deliveries, joining small groups at Holy Blossom Temple, and simple calls to one another to build the kind of civil society through which gathering and greeting and creating a world that we and God might find pleasing is possible. There are many ways, small and large, of building that society here in Canada today, but we have to look in ourselves for the energy to do so amongst our privilege. We have to look inside of ourselves for the energy and will to do so amongst our comfort. Even as we begin to feel more discomfort in the cold, I hope we will still find that well and reserve of strength. Shabbat Shalom.